When a game's best feature is its boss fights, you know that you're in for a good time. While Mask of Soul is a metroidvania that does the other aspects of the genre justice, where it really shines is the boss fights. However, that doesn't inherently mean that every fight's a good one, now does it? In this game, there are 14 bosses that you're going to face throughout the playthrough. Some of these fights are well designed, and some of them are just an incredible pain in the ass. Which boss is going to take the number one spot, and which boss is going to get lost at the bottom? My name is Avery, and welcome to Mask of Soul, the boss ranking. In last place at number 14, we have Bolgowe, the Blazing Spectre. In a game full of enemies and bosses that are just begging to be parried, coming face to face with a magma blob of molten disappointment that only has a single attack that can be parried makes for a very humdrum experience. In this fight, you are constantly dodging environmental attacks. Bolgowe will spawn vertical pillars of flame that will either traverse the entire screen or it will summon a group of 4 of them that spawns where you are. These pillars will follow you until the 4th one strikes, requiring you to keep moving. His next and by far most annoying ability is his Fire Tongue Spit move. You will see the sign of the unparryable attack appear above Bolgowe's head, and then it will sort of spit its tongue at you. This will leave a plot of fire in its wake right in front of the boss. Now you might be thinking, Avery, just dodge through the boss to the other side of it. And you'd be right, except 9 times out of 10, it's going to turn around and do the same thing where you just dodged to. And it does this in quick enough succession where the first plot of fire doesn't quite disappear by the time he does the second one. So you're left in a spot where you might as well just back away from the boss and wait till it finishes both rounds of it. The next ability it has is where it kind of jumps into the air and bounces around the arena 3 times, each bounce spawning yellow balls of fire that you can parry. This is the one attack in this fight that you can parry, although it doesn't really make sense to because you don't get any shockwave damage against the boss because it's a projectile. The last attack it can do is when it kind of turns into an orange magma tidal wave and just skates across the entire screen. Doing this, it brings orange balls of magma with it that kind of go in a wavy pattern. The combination of all of these attacks and it being a fight where it's more dodge heavy than parry made for an unfortunately long-winded fight, and by the end of it I was just irritated. If the tongue attack was simply changed to be parryable, or if the second one was delayed a little bit just so you could dodge from side to side, then this fight would be significantly more tolerable. But alas, here it will rest at the bottom of the list. At number 13 and barely above 14, we have Hanbing, Frost Chaser. I really had a hard time choosing which one was going to be 13 and which one was going to be 14, but one thing is for certain is that both of these bosses were going to be at the bottom of the list. Hanbing is a wolf-deer hybrid that's main attack is utilizing the game's contact damage against you, and what I mean by that is it's going to spend the vast majority of this fight just running into you. It's quite difficult to parry all these attacks reliably, as sometimes it runs through you, turns on a dime, and runs right back through you, but it doesn't do this every time, so you never really know if you need to get ready to chain together multiple parries, or if it's going to quickly transition into something else. Even dodging through it will sometimes yield the same result. It will also do 2 quick hops, which can be parried, but you do need to be super quick. And be careful if you try to just outspace the boss during this, because that second hop will go a lot farther than you think it will. Sometimes it's going to bite its tail and it's going to swing it at you like a weapon. This can be parried, and I would suggest doing this rather than dodging through the boss, because your dodge does not take you far enough and the hitbox on that tail is pretty large. Your dodge doesn't quite clear the hitbox of the tail and it's going to hit you on the back end of it. Both of its big danger moves are pretty easy to dodge. On one, it's going to jump backwards to the edge of the arena and send ice shards in your direction along the ground. These can be jumped over, but be mindful of the boss as it's going to run at you quickly after this and you might land on the boss, taking contact damage. The last move it will do is when it's going to howl and summon ice shards in the air. These are going to fall down in a straight vertical line. Once these hit the ground, pillars of ice are going to follow them going upwards, making those spots still unsafe to stand at. While this is happening, the boss is again going to try to just run into you. This boss annoyed the hell out of me. I kept wanting to parry this boss, but the quick jumps and it turning on a dime just to run straight back into you even if you parry the first one just became irritating by the end of it. I'm also a big hater of contact damage, so if you make a boss where its primary move against you is utilizing contact damage, chances are I'm not gonna like it. At number 12, we have Byo, the Mad Boar. This is going to be the first boss that you run into at the very beginning of the game. Acting as sort of a tutorial boss, Byo does not have that many moves. Using contact damage to its advantage yet again, it's going to dash through you a few times, taking a breather each time it either hits you or you parry it. On the 4th charge, it's going to go all the way to the wall, where it's going to run into it, stunning itself for a second. But doing this is going to make rocks fall from the sky. Immediately following this, it's going to do very quick sprints from wall to wall, and that's pretty much all Byo's going to do. But do we really expect a boar to do more than that? I don't dislike this boss at all. It just ranks at number 12 because it doesn't quite measure up to the other bosses in the game. At number 11, we have Mind Doktu, Fearful Poison Toad. This alarmingly large toad is only marginally more difficult than its fellow oversized animal boss preceding it. This boss is going to hop across the screen, dislodging spikes on the ceiling every time it hits the ground. It's going to do at least one short hop before it does one large hop. The only difference is the distance it travels and the amount of spikes it brings down from the ceiling. It's going to spit 2 balls of poison both forward and backward that will bounce along the ground and bounce off the walls. The last ability it has is its little back donkey kick thing, and this only happens if you're behind it. The only move that can't be parried on this fight is the poison ball attack. The reason this boss is ranked where it is for the same reason as Buell, in that it's not a mechanically interesting boss and it's obviously meant to serve as more of a warm-up. However, this doesn't make it a bad boss, just a boring one. At number 10 we have Banu, Amethyst Assassin. This weird 6-legged spider wannabe was my first real skill check in the game. It's not too complicated, but I had a hard time learning all of its different swing timings. That with it spawning ads in the arena, I wasn't able to really focus on it because I was worried about getting overwhelmed. It's predominantly going to use jumping attacks at you, either straight at you or from above when it jumps a little bit higher. It'll also shoot yellow balls in your direction which can be parried. When it pulls itself high into the air, it's going to spawn the ads. Same time, it's going to bring down little rock clusters that are going to shoot out spikes in a circular pattern. While not overly complicated, this boss can get really out of control if you're not prepared to keep up with everything happening on the screen. I really enjoyed the step up in competition when I got to this boss, even if it seemed a little overwhelming at first. But after dying a few times, I got the patterns down, I learned the parry timings, and I learned that the little bug ads will kind of just die by walking into your hits if you focus the boss. Overall, it's a pretty good boss. At number 9, we have Black Lord's Order, Executioner of the Underground Tomb. Welcome back, Watcher Knights. One boss is going to spawn at the beginning of the fight. Once it goes down, 2 more are going to take its place. There are a 4th and 5th boss as well, but you get a little bit more freedom on when they spawn. The 4th one is only going to spawn when you kill either 2 or 3, and then the 5th one is going to spawn when the next one goes down. All of the bosses have the same 3 moves: a 2-swing sword combo, a charging sword swing, and a jumping sword swing that spawns pink balls of danger in a semicircular pattern around the area of impact. Like Banru, not a super complicated boss, but it does feel a little crazy when you're trying to keep up with all the things happening on the screen at once. But unlike Banru, you can't just ignore anything on the screen. You've got to focus up. You got to be ready to keep track of both of their moves simultaneously while being ready to parry a lot. But as someone who usually hates gank fights, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. It definitely helps and makes it more tolerable for me that the bosses do the exact same things. On top of that, their health pools feel very fair as the health goes down pretty quickly. Or I was just doing a lot of damage at this point. At number 8, we have Gongrim, Successor of the Red Moon. Gongrim is going to be your final boss of the game. Gongrim is also going to be the only 3-phase fight in the game. Let's go through the abilities as quickly as we can. In phase 1, Gongrim is going to swing his sword widely in 2 different directions. He's going to do a stabbing motion with his sword. He's going to teleport to one side of the arena and do a charge across the entire arena, leaving 4 crystals that are going to get sent to you in circular patterns after he hits the wall. He's going to coat the perimeter of the room in damaging spikes, while spawning 3 bells in the middle of the room, allowing you to keep yourself airborne, which you need to do all the while dodging his attacks when he spawns and charges at you. He's also going to teleport in the air and spawn a big red circle. This is the diameter of his sword attack, which he's going to do after a split second. You just need to dodge out of this like it's the sword swing from Evaterno in Blasphemous 2. Once his health bar is depleted, that starts phase 2, where he morphs into this demon moose looking thing. This phase has 2 mechanics. He's going to float in place and send 3 balls of energy at you that you can parry them or dodge them. This is going to be your only time to get damage in on him, so I highly suggest you make use of it. After the 3rd ball, he's going to transition into sending himself horizontally and vertically across the room. When he hits the ground after charging down, he's going to send shockwaves out to the left and right. Just jump over these. Now you would think you need to jump over him when he sends himself horizontally. However, he goes at different heights, and some of them you might need to double jump, which you can't really do quick enough to get over him. After about an hour of getting frustrated at this part, I had the realization that you can just dodge through him, especially since my peripherals really couldn't keep up what height he was on the side of the screen. So pro tip, don't bother jumping, just dodge through him. It really makes this phase super easy. And upon getting this health bar to 0, that starts phase 3. After dying to this boss an annoying amount of times, I was incredibly pissed off to see a 3rd phase with a full health bar after a cutscene, and you have to do phase 1 and 2 again if you die in phase 3. I actually considered not continuing the game, but I did. In phase 3, he becomes the background of your screen and kind of becomes one of those Metroidvania bosses. In this phase, its disconnected hands are your enemies and its head is your target. He's going to spawn horizontal lasers from its hands, noted by the danger signs above them. He's going to punch 2 of the 4 platforms that you're standing on. He's going to spawn lasers in different patterns across the screen. He's going to spawn a semicircle of spikes that are going to get sent at you. The hands are going to fade away and you're going to dodge an oddly large amount of meteors, and it's going to spawn red balls at the top of the screen that you just need to dodge in the little pattern that they form. Whew. Did you get all that? I had a really hard time ranking this boss, because in the moment I hated the boss and I was telling myself I didn't want to finish the game and that it was going to be at the bottom of the list because why did we need a 3rd phase? Because again, I thought having the 3rd phase that was preceded by a cutscene that made you do the entire fight over again if you lost was kind of lame, especially given just the pure amount of health that he has in phase 3. But watching back my footage, I realized that I actually kind of respect this boss. I think at the time I had been sitting and playing the game for way too long and I was just getting frustrated after fighting this boss for so long and dying so many times, just to get shown a 3rd phase with a full health bar and get pissed off even more. But at the end of the day, I respect this boss and the fight that it gives us. Solid boss, solid way to end the game. At number 7, we have Hogyo, Red Forest Predator Tiger. As your second boss and first main boss of the game, Hogyo surely packs a punch. You are as bare bones as you can be at this point in the game. Normal attack speed, short dash distance, and pretty low damage. All of these aspects can make this early game boss pretty difficult. He has a few different mechanics that will get buffed in Phase 2. In Phase 1, he's going to walk you down while sending waves of energy in your direction along the ground. He's going to kind of throw a tantrum and stomp the ground, which spawns stone pillars in its place. It's going to do an AoE scream, which actually does damage somehow, and when he gets close to the end of the screen, he's going to do a large jump that when he hits the ground, you need to be away from him. Because your dash distance doesn't take you through the boss yet, you have to wait for this large jump at the end of the screen to get under him. In Phase 2, he's going to send more waves of fire at you. The stone pillars when he stomps get faster, and his AoE scream summons a vertical beam of energy now. His extra move in this phase is when he's going to disappear and attack in waves of lightning that's going to see him come down from the top of the screen, which of course is going to summon more stones once he hits the ground. But these are a little delayed, so you need to time your jump correctly. With being the second boss in the game, he can be pretty intense and it can be difficult to keep up with everything that's going on. He's definitely going to test your ability to adapt and to learn the telegraphs of his moves. All in all, I thought this boss was very enjoyable. It being this early in the game and us being as bare bones as we were really gave me the challenge I was looking for after steamrolling the boar at the beginning of the game, and it got me excited for what was to come. At number 6, we have Nundari, Freezing Spirit. And yeah, just look at this guy. This is by far the funniest looking thing in the game. I audibly laughed when I walked into this boss room. And on top of that, the noises this guy makes just adds to the humor of it. I think this game could sell plushies of this boss and they would sell incredibly well. But anyway, where this boss looks funny, he can also be pretty difficult. But it only has a handful of abilities. It's going to jump at you, and doing this will spawn horizontal icicles that are going to fly in your direction. It's going to fly up and kind of float around for a bit, and it's going to spawn little bird guys, which kind of makes it act like a bullet hell section. It's going to throw 3 snowman bird things on the ground that you need to avoid, and it's going to fly up and slam the ground. But when it does this, it's going to bring icicles from the ceiling. Its big danger move is when it charges at you. When it hits the wall, it's going to spawn large icicles from the ground that go in your direction. I'm not sure if you can dodge through the boss when it charges at you because I never really tried. I just stayed safe and jumped over it, but then you're going to want to jump again pretty quickly just to get over the icicles. I really like this boss. It's cute and funny design, the funny noises it makes, all while being a pretty difficult boss, really sold it for me. Starting out the top 5, we have Sioya, Ice Beast. Like Hogyo, this boss is just a humanoid beast hybrid that is just here to throw hands. He's going to charge up a super punch that throws him across the screen. He's going to throw a spinning kick. He's going to jump in the air and come down with an angled kick. He will spawn in from the side of the room and hit the DK down air, which is then going to spawn icicles from the floor like Nundari when he hits the ground. He's going to jump to the wall and throw little balls at you that bounce, and they also explode after a bit. And on top of that, he's going to throw a straight up Hadouken at you. I had a ton of fun with this boss. Something about throwing hands with a big beast monster that also just wanted to throw hands really was a fun time. I really appreciated how all of its moves kind of had like a cooldown moment at the end of it, allowing you to get some hits in. And its 2 big attacks that I refer to as the DK down air and the Hadouken were really awesome and fun to deal with. I used to play Smash Bros with a good friend of mine that always used Ken and Donkey Kong, so fighting against this boss kind of made me think I was fighting against him, but just in a Metroidvania. Just an overall great time. At number 4, we have Cheong-oh, Poisonous Abyss Imugi. Now, to put this boss in perspective, exploring is not usually my favorite thing in Metroidvanias, and this boss made me go explore. I was getting absolutely trucked by this boss, to the point where only having 2 heals made me think I was missing something. Turns out I wasn't. I just needed to lock in and get good. Also, I googled what an Imugi is, and apparently it's a benevolent serpent. I do not get anything benevolent from this boss. He spawns neon green bouncy balls of death that split into smaller versions upon impact. He's going to shoot poison breath at you that travels in a straight line upward. When it does this, you need to put some distance in between you and the boss, because if you dodge through it, you're going to land on the boss and take contact damage. It's going to slam its tail down on you, and sometimes it's going to do it 3 times in a row. It's also going to stab the earth from below with its tail, leaving spike zones in its wake that you obviously cannot stand on. Like all main bosses, Cheong-oh has a full second phase, where it's going to spawn 2 additional heads. And in phase 2, the attacks get a little bit more crazy. When it stabs the earth with its tail, it's going to send out projectiles from the tip of the tail now. Its poison breath is now going to bring purple balls that kind of go in that wavy pattern like we saw in Bolgyo. These you can either jump over or dodge through. The tail slam is now also going to do a swipe afterwards, and it continues to do the neon green bouncy balls of death. Then it's going to get a new move where it spawns these light green projectiles that are just going to come from the boss and follow you across the screen. While I had a ton of difficulty with this boss at first, it was an absolute blast to fight. Learning how to deal with each one of these moves really felt like an overwhelming challenge at first, but then that just makes it become more of an accomplishment when you finally master it. Just an absolute cinema boss fight. At number 3, we have Soul Kaibi, Blizzard Dokaibi. This Lakitu looking motherfucker beat my ass more than any boss in the game. I'm talking like I had to go to bed one night and try to get the next day. As the third main boss in the game, I knew it was going to have 2 phases going into it, but I struggled enough in phase 1 that phase 2 just seemed like a pipe dream. He's going to teleport around the arena to swing its spiked club at you in a pattern of 3, and sometimes he's going to teleport behind you, so be ready to turn on a dime. He's also going to do a move where he teleports to the side of the screen and charges at you before he swings his club. I don't know why, but I had the hardest time learning this parry timing. He's going to do 2 consecutive horizontal beams from the side of the arena. These have a moment in between them where you can get some good damage in. He's going to teleport up high and then travel across the screen where he sends these pink crystals out, which are pretty easy to just position yourself and not get hit. Now, the move that caused me the most trouble was his lightning ability. He's going to fly up high to the middle of the screen and he's going to spawn 3 lightning beams. But each time the lightning strikes, ice shards are going to travel across the ground from left and right. I just never really found like the go-to pattern to dodge these and not take damage. At 0 health, we transition into phase 2, where we go from blue and white to red and black. His moves are mostly all the same, but obviously just a little buffed. His horizontal beams are faster and have less time in between the 2 of them. His teleporting club swings are faster, and sometimes he's going to fake you out by teleporting twice before he actually hits you. His pink crystal ability now has a lightning beam coming from under the boss that goes across the arena, and the lightning attack that I couldn't dodge now has just a wave of lightning that follows it. And his new move is where he crashes down in the middle of the stage and hits the ground 3 times, spawning 3 waves of projectiles in different patterns that you've got to position yourself in between. This boss was an absolute mess for me to fight. And I'm not saying the mechanics were messy, I'm saying I never really got enough rhythm to confidently do this fight. And honestly, I kind of appreciate a boss that keeps me uncomfortable the entire time, while at the same time showing me that it's completely learnable. Except that lightning move, I still don't know how to do it, even after doing the boss rush. The design of this boss is also really cool. If you pay attention in phase 1, the cloud it's riding is actually laughing at you when it swings. And the cloud also changes appearances in phase 2 as well. And speaking of that, the color change was really cool. This boss was also pretty hard to rank for me, as it was originally going to be my number 1, which just goes to show how good the top 3 bosses of this game are. But ultimately, I think number 3 is a good spot for it. At number 2, we have Dark Flame Lord, Guardian of the Yacha King's Tomb. Firstly, the visual design of this boss was just super cool to me. I love the fit, I love the hat that's resting on the shoulders because this guy doesn't have a head. The flame at the top of the hat and the little feather coming out of the side are nice touches as well. And even though he's not one of the main bosses, he ranks as highly just because of how much fun I had fighting him. His patterns were a ton of fun to learn, and I found myself actually wanting to attempt to do this guy hitless, which is not something I usually spend my time trying to do. He's going to teleport behind you where he swings at you with his daggers, and then he's going to do a jumping attack that kind of sends himself in a spinning arc across the room. You can dodge or parry both of these. He's also going to teleport and charge with you at his staff. Once he gets through you, he's going to turn around and jump back and slam the ground, sending a blue flame wave in that direction. He's going to summon 3 floating dagger projectiles that are going to launch at you after a certain amount of time. His last move is his downward strikes, which kind of remind me of the Mantis Lords from Hollow Knight, which would make sense why I like this boss so much, because those are some of my favorite bosses from Hollow Knight. The first 2 of them you can dodge no problem, but the third one you need to dodge and jump, because your dodge isn't going to take you far enough, because he summons pink weapons from the ground once he hits the ground. This boss fighting you with a ton of different weapons just adds to its cool factor. Like I said, not a super complicated boss, but the fluidity of its attacks and the visual aesthetic really made me love every second of it. And finally, our number 1 boss, we have Gangyo, Death Lord Skeleton Yacha King. Kind of feels a bit ironic giving the number 1 spot to kind of the only gimmick fight in the game, especially since I don't normally like the gimmick fights. But this one just works out so well that I could not help but put it up top. And the gimmick of this fight is that the boss is going to keep spawning a shield around himself. Each time he does this, he's going to spawn 3 lanterns kind of across the room. You've got to go break these lanterns before you can do any damage to the boss. But while you're going after these lanterns, you got to deal with the other mechanics that the boss is throwing at you. He's going to spawn spikes at the top of the screen, which are either going to go down in a straight line or they're going to follow you. You've got to dodge the purple beams of energy that it sends at you. I had the hardest time dodging these for some reason. He's got his bullet hell ability when he spawns that blue mask directly above him. These projectiles are going to come out in a spiral pattern, which make it kind of difficult for me. And my favorite, the kind of jumping puzzle mini game thing that he does. And of course, being a main boss, he's going to have a phase 2 once his health gets to 0, where he's going to turn from purple into red, and the mechanics are going to get a little bit more intense. The main change is going to be the stationary spikes that it spawns on the ground, which makes avoiding all the other abilities it has just a little bit more threatening. The mechanics are more or less the same, just a little bit faster, but those stationary spikes are going to throw you off a lot more than you think they will. After you beat phase 2, he does kind of a last-ditch effort type move. He's going to spawn a little black hole looking thing in front of him, and the walls are going to start closing in on you. All the while, he's spawning a lot of lanterns around that you just need to hit. You need to hit enough of these to break his shield to get that last hit on to win. Now, this part of the fight made me think, like, can you actually fail here? But I think you can, because I accidentally ran into the black hole thing and took a hit of damage. So I can only imagine what it's like to get all the way through this fight and then to die right there. But this is such a cool and fun boss to fight. I love how the gimmick of this boss is essentially just a bullet hell fight, but not making it super frustrating to deal with. but it was a nice change of pace compared to the other bosses, especially since he's the penultimate boss in the game. I really like the visual design of this boss and how dramatic it feels when you get to his ending phase. Yet another game where the penultimate boss ends up being better than the final boss, in my opinion, of course. But that is it. That is every boss in Mask of Soul ranked from bottom to top. What did you think about the bosses in this game? What's your number 14? What's your number 1? Let me know down in the comments, and make sure you like and subscribe while you're there if you like what I do. Also, make sure you drop a follow on Twitch and TikTok for when we stream. But that's it for me. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Peace.